freedom is the ability of journalists and news organizations to report without fear of repercussions from powerful vested interests. The NUJPS is saying there can be no genuine press freedom if journalists work and operate in conditions of fear, corruption, and poverty. All those three make up threats to press freedom. So it's very, very hard, for example, for an impoverished journalist in the province faced with a warlord who gives him two options, the envelope or the gun. It makes it very hard for journalists to operate no matter how much integrity they have at the start. The government and President Duterte's supporters like to say there is press freedom in the country. The best defense is always, ang ingay-ingay nyo. How can there be repression of press freedom? But I think what people need to realize is we are noisy because we are asserting our right to press freedom. It doesn't mean that it's not under siege. It simply means that we continue to refuse to be intimidated by those who seek to silence the press. Okay, among all other presidents, it is Duterte who has publicly made a justification for the murder of journalists when he said that, one, if you're a good journalist, you don't get killed, and that, you know, even if you're a journalist, you're not exempted from getting killed if you're abusive, etc., etc. So that was very dangerous, and he has continued with his attacks on journalists. You know, what he has used different legal bodies, government bodies, to attack Rappler, for example. You know, he has used his troll army to deliberately try to undermine the credibility of media by, one, putting out false stories about media in the first place, two, making their own alternative storyline or plots about what's happening in the country, and trying as much as possible, using a lot of money and a lot of people to make disinformation, to make lies seem to be the truth, all with one goal of making people turn away from media. Unfortunately for them, they have not succeeded because truth will eventually out, and all the bots in Mocha Uson's millions of followers have been unmasked, and Mocha's lies have been unmasked, and the different lies of Duterte in the same way have also been exposed by the media. So it will continue. Right now, at the moment, media organizations are part of an enemy of the state presentation, red baiting and red tagging of journalists. So that's all part and parcel. We've always said that this information never exists in a vacuum. This information is always accompanied by coercion, by overt attacks, because the goal is to silence the press by denial of access. If you take away Rappler's existence as a business entity, you take away what it needs to operate, you know. If you ban Pierre Renada from covering the president, you trample on a journalist's right to ask questions. When the president or when Mocha Uson says that, you know, you can do it on live stream, they're deliberately trying to ignore the fact that one of the primary duties of journalists is to ask the tough questions. And that's the problem here, because Duterte throws out lie after lie after lie And journalists are trying to hold him accountable to these lies. And then they're trying to ban those who do. They've attacked verifiers. They've been attacking Altermedia with incredibly severe DDoS attacks. They've done that to the NUJP. So yan, access din ang pinag-uusapan yan. To deny alternative media and anybody who gets on the wrong side of the government, to deny them access to the tools of the profession, to the platforms. So yun ang gusto nila, because ultimately the goal is really a silent press, a cowed press. The only reason why they're not succeeding is because we have a strong legacy of fighting for a right to remain free. And we have a lot of generations of heroes to serve as examples to that. We are free only because we fight to be free. At any day, at any hour, there are attempts to clamp down on this freedom. Ang Pilipinas ay unique sa mundo ng media. We are one of those very rare countries where women rule the newsrooms, both in legacy and new media. No, kababaihan ang manager ng newsrooms, and that has been the truth for several decades now. No, but the ownership of most traditional media companies still belongs to the hands of powerful men. And ang paradigm nila is the usual orthodox capitalist paradigm. And so we have a media industry that's beset by a lack of security of tenure, you know. There are many ways where we can still create better support mechanisms for women workers in the media. The longest time, we were all focused on the fight for press freedom because we were coming out of a dictatorship, and press freedom remained under siege for a long time. So the focus of most journalists was on defending the press freedom. I am glad that right now there's a resurgence of unionism in media, and that young women are in the forefront of union activities and the fight for economic rights. I think ngayon pwede nang umusbong, you know, yung economic struggle sa media na matagal nag-backseat yan dahil ang primary na battles were over press freedom. Naniniwala ako kasi na pag maayos ang economic work conditions ay magiging mas productive at magiging mas maganda ang reportage sa media, at namumuno dyan yung mga kababaihang mga bata, dahil kahit sa beat maraming kababaihan, so that is going really to help. Women journalists, especially the ones who exercise critical reportage, have been targets of attacks, so much attacks. They're all misogynist attacks, sexist attacks, you know. Every time I write a critical column, I get like 50, 80 PMs calling you, burang ka na, pangit ka, mag-retire ka na, menopausal ka na. Like, what does menopausal have to do with my journalism? It's like people will just try to insult you on the basis of sexuality. I'm impervious to those kind of attacks, but other women journalists have had it worse, you know. Pia Renada has said the amount of rape threats, of death threats that she's getting. Jamela, of course, of Al Jazeera, and the others have said that. And ang atake talaga, the sexuality. Tatakutin ka. Meron pa nagsabi sa akin, tingnan natin, pag natunto namin ang bahay niyo, ma-rape ang anak ko. Mga ganun tipo. So the attacks are really meant to silence you, to make you afraid, or to make you so ashamed Matatapang lang talaga yung mga kababaihan sa media. Nasasaktan sila. I'm sure nasasaktan sila. Sabihan ka naman day in, day out kung ano-anong ka-insulto. Sabi nga ni si Ed Lingaw, nagsabi, pareho kami lahat, babae, lalaki. Takot kami. Pero iba yung takot. Iba yung mananahimik ka. We will continue. Sabi nga ng rapper, we will hold the line.